Welcome back to the Talos of Tech podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined with Rick and Dandy. I hope they're all having fantastic tax days. We're recording this on the 15th.
Ooh.
Happy tax day.
Yeah. Just finished doing taxes.
Get everything done. And, this was kind of a week about the Metaverse in a way. We had Meta announcing their 50% revenue cut and Randy explaining to the public what NFTs are. And I learned a lot.
Thank you, by the way, for... I appreciate the retweet, Drew. I noticed there was a spike in views that came up. I was like, oh, what's that about? I
figured it would be relevant to this week's news. So
it was unintentionally planned out that way, and I was like, let's kind of do deep dives on that. The tech is interesting, but that's the longest edited video I've ever made. I don't want to do one that long again. So long I actually rewatched it and did timestamps to make chapters.
How long was it?
Wow.
Like 30 minutes or something, right?
Over 30 minutes, yeah. 35, 32.
Remember when we did that with the podcast?
Woo!
Oh,
Sad days.
Oh, with the chapters? Jay, where are you when we needed you most?
yeah. For the record, if anyone wants to put chapters in the comments, I will add them to the description. If anyone's willing to bite the bullet and do that time. But if you couldn't tell, these are not scripted. They change. Our conversations and topics change so quickly. It's gonna be. It's already time consuming. It's gonna be even more time consuming for us to do chapters. So if y'all want to do it, you can. But if you're not willing to, we're not willing to. So sorry.
No pressure by any means. The Metaverse though, what a cluster fire mess that is, isn't it?
What a cluster token.
Cluster token.
Yeah.
Wow. Cluster.
Oh my
One
God.
of a kind, though. You get to own it. One of a kind.
I'm glad Apple was even talking about it. You know, they even came forward and they were like, so you want to take a cut of people's work because it's on your platform because you think you're deserving. Interesting. It felt like the Captain America with the chair sitting around.
Yeah.
So
you got detention,
you want a revenue cut.
So you want... That's great.
It was pretty good. But yeah, I appreciate you getting your first NFT because now I don't have to. I feel like I've learned so much, and from what I've learned, I'm not terribly interested.
No, I could tell you it's very gimmicky. I needed to get hands-on with it to really understand the concepts of that whole process.
Yeah.
And for art for art's sake, I get it if you're trying to support an artist. But my fundamental issue I have with the crypto space right now, because it's so new, is that it wants to fix a problem that doesn't technically fully exist in their mission statement. Crypto space as a whole, so cryptocurrency, stable coin to a certain degree, then if it's being pegged to something, and then definitely NFTs. The crypto space as a whole is just, it wants to give all of you two viewers, listeners, everyone wants to give you the ultimate control of something, but it does come at a literal price that you would be paying more that is technically kind of free right now. My observations of my own research has shown me that because the outline of all of this is Web 3.0 and what that's going to be and what they're building on that, which is going to be built on potentially these cryptocurrencies, these blockchains, these NFTs, which will go way outside of art, but it's all going to be extremely interactive and very customized to you. At the cost of that, you're not selling your privacy to, or like you're not getting ads. You have more like individual control over the information that's going to kind of more or less be presented to you, where right now we can go on YouTube, we can go on Twitter, you can go on Instagram, whatever, and you're going to get an ad, and thus now you are the product as we've now coined. And that comes at the cost of like privacy tracking and stuff like that. And it doesn't need, Web 3.0 seems to be trying to break away from that formula where you can have certain level of anonymity.
That's a big one.
I got it.
Yeah.
Anonymity.
Anonymity.
You get a certain level of anonymity that you don't have to be as tracked. But the juxtaposition of that, by that contrast, big word there, guys. Almost the irony of it is, the blockchain is public, the ledger is public, and so everything is tracked. Meaning money would be tracked. Every action is logged and tracked. The only difference is instead of it being privately logged and sold to ad people to sell you customized ads, it's now out there for everybody if you want to do that research and stuff like that. And so when it comes to NFTs, that's all that is you're tracking the passage of selling this digital noise, and it's and a finance transaction is logged, and right now it's just art because it doesn't have the capabilities of really expanding beyond that. I've done the research about how tokens, because NFTs are tokens, how tokens are supposed to give you access to certain things like memberships and stuff like that. I've done the research to see what those are, and it's not today a space where, oh my God, I need to get this NFT if I want to post this YouTube video, because we're not. That's you're not. I'm not. You're only a YouTube partner if you have this NFT. But let's entertain that for a second further. All right, Drew. Now you are a YouTube partner because we give you the YouTube partner badge, this card, and now this gives you permissions and levels of you being able to access certain parts of this website, this blockchain, this whatever. You can now interact with it that no one else can, because you don't need certain 2FA doesn't exist anymore. Authentications and verifications, all that stuff is supposed to be integrated, say with an NFT, say with your account, say with the blockchain. It's all integrated and it can't be hacked. The whole point of Web 3.0 is to just simplify that process. But when I say it's trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist, you say, you know what? No, I don't want to be a YouTube partner today. And you could just give your token to somebody else. And then they could do whatever they want with it for X amount of time. And it doesn't really seem profitable if, like, we're only going to make it exclusive to 100,000 people or 1 million people or whatever people that you want. We're all going to make it exclusive to this. You want to be part of the Tesla club, you can only own this NFT to be part of the Tesla club. And then that's it. That's the number. Every time you pass it off or you sell it, the Tesla Inc. gets a cut of it, maybe. But subscriptions, man, that's a consistent every month. Like, you're gonna get paid. Google's getting paid
because it's a
13.
service. It's not
service.
like a token or a pass. You're getting content out of it, or you're getting.
And that's where the conflict exists. Right now, our services are blooming. Everything has a something plus now, right?
Even the hardware.
Even the hardware
that way.
Which I want to talk about in a moment. But everything's a plus. While services are blowing up because we're moving away from freemium, it causes this conflict of having ownership of something that doesn't. It's trying to fix the problem, like, but you're the authentic owner. You're the one who gets the residuals of whatever. If you were to move it forward in the art space, but say you're joining a membership. It's not that much more controlled at that point. If the two of three of us, you and Nick both have this token to be on the Talos of Tech podcast, and then one of you give me that token. Well, now I have just as much equity on that podcast as the person who just or as the other person who has the token, and the one who just gave me their token has no equity in it anymore. So there is a issue with where it stands right now. I understand where it's going, what it's trying to address. My own observations, I spent the last almost 3 weeks, almost a month, really in the space, researching it, getting hands-on with it.
Thank you, by the way, for doing all that research. Because now I feel like I don't have to.
Learning why. Well, okay, I know what this is. Why does this exist? That was my biggest question the whole time, and I was getting burnt out, guys. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, this is. It was a little tedious. I put up a certain amount of money. I was like, all right, this is my play money, and honestly, the play money was just high yield interest from one of the stable coins that I had, and I was like, oh, this is money that
yeah,
the crypto already paid me anyway, so it's really.
So you were using crypto to buy crypto.
I was using their crypto to buy crypto, so I was like, all right, I was, but I was really in the weeds here. Why? And I can say right now, it's going to be a long time before it brings value to it.
I believe it. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Have you dabbled in NFTs? I think we all own crypto, right?
Yep.
Okay, probably not much, but we've all dabbled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking about the story that came forward this week. I'm sure Randy saw it, but there was an NFT of the first tweet made by Jack on Twitter, and it originally sold for $2.9 million, and then it went up for auction last week, and the highest bid was $280. So I saw that as like a big wake-up call. I was like, I think this is how a lot of NFTs are going to go, where like people think they're this next big thing, buy a bunch of them, and then find out in a couple of years these are virtually worthless. Like no one wants them. Unless you want the hexagon on your...
The hexagon is important.
Twitter profile.
And honestly, that as I recapped in the video, that's more on Twitter at that point. You had to pay Twitter to even get that. That's Twitter Blue.
That's a subscription, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I just want to say I love all the people using the Lord Farquaad meme on all the hexagons every time someone has one hexagon profile. It makes me laugh every time. It's the same joke. Still gets me. But I get a crack at it every time. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Every time I see a hexagon profile picture, I look in the replies to see the Lord Farquaad meme.
Did you know? I didn't know this. This is a real... I did not know iJustine NFT'd her own profile pic just so she can have the hexagon on Twitter. She took her profile pic. She created an account with on the Ethereum network, and she minted a 1/1 profile pic that she bought from herself, or gave it. She airdropped. She sold it for no money to herself. The contract's there. Like the information's there. Again, blockchain's public. So I was looking at the smart contract there. I was like, okay, she made a profile pic of her normal, this one, or you know.
Wow, Randy, that was perfect. Actually, I was confused on who I was looking at there for a second.
Thank you.
Spot on.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah. Hey, she
all the
minted
colors
her own,
today.
She made so she made all her she made her own profile pic and NFT, bought it on the Ethereum network so she can then connect her wallet to Twitter Blue and then post it as a profile pic.
I think Omar did the same thing. Omar's catalog.
Just so you can say there's actually, it's kind of smart. If it didn't cost any money, I'd be like, okay, cool. But what my takeaway from that,
$3 a month,
dude.
Just for the profile picture to be a different shape.
I don't care I don't care how much money you make. Like that's reckless spending. But I get the concept that like there's only one iJustine. So here's the thing. This is another way of saying that like I'm the authentic iJustine. But I'm sorry, I thought the verified check mark did that already.
Right. I guess I could get behind it a little bit if you were worried about spam accounts and you weren't verified. But yeah, she's verified, so I don't really get
There's
it.
There's an Apple Basic
can't anyone
or something. Go ahead.
Maybe you could help me understand this, but what's to stop someone else from just making their own NFT of your content?
Nothing.
Exactly. That's kind of my fear.
No, that's the biggest problem right now. Actually, that in the space during my research, and the video was long enough, so I cut out like 15 minutes. I almost did an hour of filming. So there was some stuff I addressed more about the scam part of it.
Someone could emulate that exact same profile picture NFT.
Yes.
It's not unique.
The only difference is that Nick and Sweeney made it instead of Justine, and then it's like, okay,
right.
I don't really care who the owner is.
You overestimate the amount of effort that I'd put into using Justine's profile picture on my Twitter profile and paying Twitter $3 a month. No.
Yeah, so the issue I have with that is that right now there's no regulation because it's unregulated, and it's a not cultural. It's a conflict of like people.
It probably will be unregulated for a while.
Well, that's where the vision clashes with other people, what they want to see from the space. Some people, myself included, I have said this out loud many times, that I want the crypto space completely regulated because then there's protections in place, and then whatever the real stable coin is going to be is a real stable coin. But people don't want cryptocurrency or the crypto space, the universe, everything to be regulated because then they feel like it stipends creativity or 100% control over your own product. But then now where's that? We have to find that balance. Okay, Drew, you want control over the Talos of tea, and it's your tea and no one can use it. But if we don't have any regulation, I'm going to use it. Nick is going to use it. We're all going to use it.
It's the NFT.
We are we are all NFT.
That's a Talos short.
I love
Non-fungible Talos.
Non-fungible Talos. There's only one, except we all take it because it's not regulated. So you can't. You have to pick and choose your battles about what it is that you want from that platform, from that space then. And that's no one has a consensus of what's to come from that space. The only thing that they have is that Dogecoin to the moon, Bitcoin is the altcoin, right? And the Ethereum network is the primary.
Ethereum's better.
The Ethereum network is the network that everyone else compares it to, as every cryptocurrency coin is compared to the Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes down, everything else goes down. If the Ethereum network goes up, hand by hand, you will see whatever is utilizing that network will see a rise in it as well. But everything is pegged to not the US dollar like stablecoins, but it's pegged to Bitcoin and Ethereum in their own way. They'll find a way to differentiate themselves. No, our network is different because we use less energy. This is the different coin because it requires the. So you can have all these reasons, but it's all pegged to Bitcoin and the Ethereum network. So at the end of the day, like, there's not a consensus of what they want from that space because everyone's competing.
Yeah, I agree. It's messy. It's a big clouded vision of what the future is supposed to be, and not everyone can agree on it. But
that's why Apple won't go into space. Like Apple. How long did it take for them to put like OLED or 120 hertz or another lens? Or Qi charging, like they want to wait until something's mature. They are not going to be a pioneer in this space. But imagine if they were. What would that look like?
It would be.
You should make a video about that, Randy. And I claim
all
rights to the idea of this video.
No.
I'm gonna mint this NFT and then. No, this is all my idea.
Make an NFT of the.
I'm glad I inspired you,
Randy. Got this inspiration. But do you guys want to talk about Twitter?
Yes. I just want yes, because it's relevant today, and
it's kind of a big deal.
Knowing
it's a big deal.
Knowing how fast all this has changed, I would preface this entire Twitter conversation by saying by the time this show goes out in 24 and some change hours, it could be completely outdated. So go, Randy.
Okay.
That's true.
If you live under a rock or you don't have Twitter and you don't know what's going on, there's this up and coming startup guy. His name's I think like Elon, something like that. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Elon. Yeah.
Elon is offered to buy all of Twitter, the totality of it, with of course a little bit of a meme in there because he had to get a 420 joke in there still, which he then technically raised the value of the company a little bit more than it actually is right now. There's a back and forth going on with Elon and Twitter and free speech and this, that, and all these virtue signalings and stuff like that. And he went from being the largest individual shareholder of 9.2% to being invited to join the board, to which behind closed doors, they could not come to agreement, so he did not do it, to now he said, tell you what, I'm just going to buy the whole company instead. And what's interesting about that is that because he actually went through official channels to make that offer, the Twitter has to formally respond, and if they decline, they actually have to provide a valid reason why they're going to decline the offer, because you can't say, I don't like this guy. That's not a valid reason.
And they have to address their shareholders, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I owned one Twitter stock just so I could be on for the ride.
It is fascinating to me to watch unfold. I mean, I'm sure
time.
there's all kinds of pros and cons, but it's just kind of really interesting to see someone, you know, a rich billionaire just be like, I don't really like the way this platform works, so I want to, you know, try to help or try to fix it, and I can afford to buy out the whole thing. I don't know. It's like, it's just kind of it's
you know what
kind
the problem
of a baller
is?
move when you think about it.
If they don't do it, he kind of strong armed. Here's the interesting part. He said, if this is my highest and final offer, and if they don't accept it, I will reevaluate my position as a stakeholder. If he sells those shares, it's not that the stock is going to crash. One of these other tech companies or somebody's going to come in and buy those shares, and they're going to have controlling stake. And Twitter is going to put themselves in a corner that if they don't work with Elon, they're going to have to work with somebody else who we don't know. And because Elon just opened a floodgate, he opened a can of worms people didn't even know that they could do by doing that.
Yep.
And now I wouldn't be surprised if Facebook was like, if Mark Zuckerberg was like, hey, screw these guys. And he's going to come in with his metaverse vision and just buy those 9.2 shares, buy them out from Elon, or if he sells them out, then someone else is going to come in and sweep them up and buy them.
Antitrust will love that.
Oh, imagine Facebook trying to now take control over, or not just even, but anybody for that matter. Like what they do now.
I don't think they could legally. I honestly think that the court cases would be so. Well, I mean, that he was already under investigation along with Apple and Google and, you know, that Amazon, like they were all under scrutiny for having too much control, and the justices were questioning them buying Instagram and WhatsApp, and they were like, isn't this you just buying out your competition? And Twitter's probably the closest thing Facebook has to a competitor right now. And if they were to buy them out, I think it would basically guarantee that they would be broken up by the federal government. So I don't know if they could specifically, but
imagine Jeff Bezos,
kind of perfect with
a private person comes in, he buys it, and he converts it all to Amazon stuff. Like somebody who actually has like influence. And honestly, Jeff and Elon are constantly trying to measure each other's members. You know that if Elon walks away,
Jeff buy a big media company already? Didn't he buy Washington Post or something?
Yeah. He owns the Washington Post.
Which I thought was funny because they were writing about how dangerous it is to let billionaires buy out these media companies.
There's
like,
so many
aren't you
funny
owned by
headlines
Bezos?
coming out of the Washington Post. It's just so funny. You realize who you're owned by, guys, right? Like,
but we're free and we're a publication. Where Twitter is an open space, and so I could see if Elon walks away from it, I would bet Jeff Bezos comes in and buys it personally. Not Bill Gates, not anybody. Jeff would come in and his weird evil billionaire laugh that he has. Yeah.
It was
Lex Luthor looking. Anyway,
right. It's kind of perfect with Elon because Twitter doesn't compete with any of his pre-existing brands, so I don't think there's much of an antitrust case there. Probably not so much with Bezos, but definitely not Facebook or Apple. Anybody who is in the latest antitrust hearings, I don't think they want to buy anything. There's probably companies they want to buy. They just feel like they can't because they're going to get in trouble.
Then here comes Elon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's grabbing things off shelves. But I mean, I think it's Twitter's just kind of a weird one because it feels like one of the last big social media companies that hasn't been bought out by a big entity. You know, like YouTube got scooped up, Instagram got scooped up. I guess you have Snapchat.
Snapchat, I think, has more active daily users than Twitter. I think they're higher.
Yeah,
than
definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
That's
know
a
that.
definitive. I remember reading that they're like number one is like I think like TikTok and then Snapchat and then Instagram. Maybe. Yeah.
And
then Twitter.
Twitter and then Facebook.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Huh.
I remember reading that somewhere. So like Snapchat is another one that's hanging in there.
So one of the last then. One of the last big ones. I don't know. I still
Twitter's
feel
the OG,
Twitter
though.
being more
Twitter's been
influential.
around for ever. Yeah. Twitter's OG.
I feel like there's not as much like billionaires and celebrities using Snapchat to announce things.
No.
It's like Twitter,
what
you
platform's
get,
for.
you know.
What's up, Nick? Let's hear it.
Twitter is the de facto public space. I think Elon's talked about this. It's the town square where all of the important conversations of our society happen. They don't happen on Instagram. They don't happen on Facebook. They happen on Twitter. That's where everyone's mudslinging. That's where everyone's screaming at each other. But at the end of the day, these are important conversations that need to happen for our society to function as, you know, some kind of republic where you have people who are I guess read on the issues, know a little bit about different issues, and can form their own kind of free opinion. And I think that's why Elon is, he's such a free speech absolutist. He says that he's, 100% free speech. And in that TED interview yesterday, he was asked, and what about shouting, fire in a crowded building? And Elon's like, well, within the laws. And so I think
it's a weird definition.
It is. No, it's a super weird definition. Like,
yeah.
I think Twitter has been and is in this really weird position, along with all of the tech companies right now. They want to be regulated as a utility, a public utility, but they want to have the control of a private platform, and that's just a really, it's kind of down to our older and more archaic laws where they're not, because right now, as the rules are written, as the laws are written, Facebook and Twitter can't be sued directly for someone posting on their platform defamation, which, that's because they fall under public utility. Just like if I say something false about Randy to Drew on the telephone, AT&T can't be sued. AT&T is just the middleman, or, Apple with FaceTime is just the middleman conveying the message.
Yeah.
But because all of this public discourse happens on Twitter, Twitter and all of the other big social media companies have decided that some speech is, acceptable and some speech isn't. And I think there's a big gray area there of where people draw the line of what's acceptable and what's not. I don't want to get into those
it's a wide
right
spectrum.
now. But there's definitely a large gray area where people cannot agree what is permissible and what isn't. I think everyone would agree that some speech is permissible and everyone would agree that some speech is not permissible, but there's a large valley in between those two camps where almost everyone lies. And so I think Elon, coming down fairly close on the free speech side, has decided to kind of put his weight on the platform. If you think about what is the most important thing you can do with your money, right? Having influence, being able to steer society. It used to
buying
be
AirPods Max.
Buying AirPods Max. If Elon just wore AirPods Max,
I forgot to wear them. Oh, I forgot to switch them out.
Oh God,
broke over here.
Sorry, I just derailed everything.
broke.
Go ahead,
No,
Nick.
that's okay.
I'm with you.
Yeah, but
commoners.
anyway,
good.
the ultimate thing that these ultra wealthy, these billionaires are doing is buying political influence, and it's not buying out. I'm sure there's plenty buying out individual politicians, but just like we discussed with Jeff Bezos on the Washington Post, like these billionaires are trying to put their thumbs on the scales of public discourse, and I think Elon is also trying to get in on that. Now, personally, I agree with most of what Elon says on and off camera, and it's like, well, I am in support of Elon right now, but I can understand how people are, upset and not excited about yet another billionaire being in charge of yet another platform.
Yeah,
but
I get that too.
All that said, I will say everything that Elon works on does kind of end up working out. So I'm excited to see the new version of Twitter that Elon will be working on. I think, if we're being completely honest, Twitter's kind of been dying, ever since probably, 2014, 2015. I think with Trump using Twitter so much, and I use the T word here, so sorry about that, but Trump using Twitter as much as he did when he was president. Yeah, Trump brought a lot of attention to Twitter because that's where the discourse was happening. Like, Trump
every
said one
major
tweet,
news outlet was showing tweets every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Multiple times a day. And Twitter benefited so much from that. And not just that one account, not just that one user who was the president, just the whole fact that Twitter was kind of having this revitalization after this kind of slump in 2014, 2015. And I think they're in another slump right now that there isn't, that dissenting voice or whatever from this side of the political spectrum. So I think Elon maybe bringing some more of those voices back or whatever will definitely allow a lot more attention to Twitter, which at the end of the day, that's what Twitter needs, right? At the end of the day, Twitter's a platform. Their business model. How many eyeballs can we get on our stuff? Whether or not it's left or right or center content, it doesn't matter to Twitter the business. Twitter the business is worried about how many people are engaging with our platform on a daily basis. And I've been reading up on this quite a bit over the past couple of days, and evidently the past couple of years, Twitter's only been making about 1 penny per person per month who uses their platform, which is like,
really,
yeah,
wow.
You'd think that Twitter would be making
even with all those ads.
Even with all those ads, I mean, it's
and every 3 tweets I get an ad.
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. Same here, and evidently it's not any better if you pay for Twitter Blue, but. So Twitter, from a business perspective, hasn't been doing great. And so all these people who are like, oh, Elon's undervaluing it. No, I've looked at some numbers. I've been looking at the financials. I can say I'm fairly certain he is overvaluing Twitter by quite a bit. But if you value the amount of political control and just discourse and societal change that Twitter has, yes, it's undervalued because Twitter is where the world's conversation happens right now. And so I think
pretty much
at the end of the day, if Elon can help fix it, every company I've seen him work on has done extremely well.
You have the president of Ukraine giving live updates on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
True.
And
that's just one example.
Like, yeah,
there's all kinds of stuff.
I give live updates on Twitter. I mean,
what's better than that?
Same level right there.
I'll
move over Instagram.
To bring it back to what I know our listeners are interested in, I normally find out about Apple event invites through Twitter because that's the quickest way for someone to share information, and it's just so in real time and it's so quick. And I think what you said exactly right, Nick, that I'm grateful for is regardless of if you like Elon or not, you're scared about what's going to happen. Or the great thing is you are able to leave Twitter if you don't like it. That's not a requirement. If you don't like it, just go away. There were a lot of people leaving Twitter anyway, even before this all unfolded. But the great thing you brought up is that Elon is bringing attention to the influence and power of these platforms, which I do think needed to be discussed more so. Even if the buyout doesn't go through, I don't know what's going to... I had the suspicion right as they announced that he wanted to do a 100% buyout that I was like, they're not going to say yes, that the board doesn't like him. And they definitely care more about Twitter as a brand and as a platform than they do just taking a big paycheck. Most of that board, I assume. So I was like, yeah, I don't think they're gonna agree to the deal. But regardless of what the outcome is, it at least is getting us all discussing and talking about how much these are fairly small companies. There's not like thousands of people working on the Twitter algorithm. It's like, I think it's less than 100, or it's a very small. If it's over 100, it's not much. It's like a very, very tiny percentage of the population has a ton of control over what gets to be said. And there's been a lot of decisions Twitter has made that I've agreed with. And there's been many decisions they've made that I don't agree with. And we don't need to get into specifics because I don't want this to become a political thing or something. But I'm just like, I'm in favor of this being as open and transparent as possible so that people can understand, as I've branded myself the Apple sheep, The full intention is for you guys to know I prefer Apple. That's what I like. That's what I prefer, and that's what I use. So that gives you perspective when I give you my opinion on an Android phone or a Windows machine, or, you know, you need to be aware of bias. And I'm all in favor of social media platforms and those companies being completely open with, here's where some of the bias may lie, and here's where transparency is needed. And Elon, when talking directly with Jack, was referencing that they wanted the algorithm to be open source, or at least let people know if you want to change your algorithm to work a specific way. And if you don't agree with that, why? Like, is it something about the discussion of you're worried about the outcomes of any particular algorithm being different from yours? And just by going in that little discussion, you'll realize how influential this company is, despite the revenue model not being great. You know, they don't make a ton of money, and Twitter Blue I don't think is worth it, and you know the ad revenue is not very good. I still think they should allow the edit
Drew,
button. Hexagons, right?
Hexagons are the bestagons.
And
there's a crap ton of things the company does.
10-minute video uploads. What, you don't need to post to Twitter. I mean, to YouTube anymore. You can post for free and not get paid on Twitter. In fact, you pay them.
The Twitter video uploader tool is the worst video processor I've
never been
ever
so
seen.
Professionally insulted and embarrassed.
Everything
gets compressed so bad.
And it doesn't pay attention to your crops. Like, you'll crop it and trim it a certain way, and then it ignores it. And the quality from the best camera will look like absolute garbage. And like the edit thing is so long overdue and so stupid. There's an insane amount of people that are like, yeah, but what if the tweet were to change? It's like, they've solved this on like every other site years ago.
Yes,
Twitter's the only one that doesn't do this.
Twitter is so, and then they have to use their Twitter communications handle to be like, yes, we're working on an edit button. No, it's not because a billionaire tells us. I'm like, dude, first of all, you're lying, because if you were, what's there to work on?
It's bet like a developer with 1 year of software writing experience could make an edit button. It's like you know, change this text to this you know, like,
dude,
it's the most simple thing. Instagram has it, YouTube has it.
We were
Facebook
talking
has
about Web 3.0. This was fixed in Web 1.0 when everything was just read only. This was fixed then.
And it's very simple, just for the record. If you're worried about someone changing the nature of a tweet after it gets popular, I can't believe how many people are like, oh, that's it. Can't do it. That's too complicated. It's like, dude, just you put the little badge edited, or if you're that paranoid, an edit can nullify all retweets and likes.
Yes.
You can just turn it off. If you edit the tweet, then you...
Because 99% of the times where I'd want to edit something, it's right after I hit the dang tweet button, and I'm like,
exactly.
Shoot, typo.
It's not like the tweet gets really viral and then someone wants to change it to something completely different. If they did that, they could lose all of the retweets and likes. Or, of course, you could keep it to a character limit. You can only change 5 characters. Mm-hmm. You could only change it after the first 5 minutes. There's so many good ways of implementing it, and it's 2022, and they're still like, we're thinking about it. That might be good for our subscription.
In the same vein, Instagram, where's the damn iPad app?
Oh, I know. They have no argument for that.
Never.
Literally nothing.
Those are the two things in 2022 that should have been a thing 10 years ago.
You have to pay for that.
iPad app for Instagram. Yes. What?
That's for Instagram IG Plus. You have to,
IG Plus.
You have to pay for that.
It's too good a feature to give away for free. But
apparently,
all of that to say, I have my issues with Twitter, but I still think it's a very effective app, and I still use it probably more than any other.
My primary social media.
Yeah. And it's got a lot of influence, and I'll even disclose that there's some things Elon has said that I don't agree with, and as much as I support Tesla and space.
Okay, well, sorry, you're off the show.
There's
now.
a lot of,
Randy,
and I'm not talking
about how amazing Elon is.
I'm not just talking about self-driving
Actually, sorry,
stuff.
Nick,
politically.
I'm in the same boat. I don't agree with everything he says. Yeah.
But
no, I respect the man like none other. You know, like I think
it's okay. Like I think it's a good
thing. I don't have to
thing.
agree with it.
I think it's a good thing personally. Like
I'm
Nick
sorry, you guys.
and Randy are.
I have to show you what I was staring at while we were talking
Oh,
about
no.
Elon.
For audio listeners, Nick has
has
a wooden cross on his wall, and Elon is attached to it. No.
Okay.
But no, I think frankly, something I've encouraged with my bias and my Apple sheepness is that it's okay for someone to not agree with everything, and to act like the only people who should be in charge of a social media or a company are the people that you 100% agree with is unrealistic, and that's not the case now, and it won't be the case when if Elon takes over.
I don't agree 100% with anybody. So,
Exactly. Yeah, you can find disagreements everywhere, but
my closest friends, I don't agree with everything, and that's totally cool, and that's fine. The problem, everyone's so scared of like contrasting opinions that like there's gonna be this war. Like, I'm sad to see the fear almost of people who don't want to express their true opinions on something out of fear of being singled out, or like, oh, I don't think like him, he don't think like me, or whatever the case like that. That's just not real. You're living in a fake world to say that everything has to be exactly 100%. Look, you guys know, well, you two for sure, but our listeners, you guys know how much we love Apple, and we are so critical of it to the point that people go, Drew's not a real Apple sheep, because sometimes you just gotta
they complain because we come across as an Apple critic channel sometimes, just because
we're critics because we love the brand and the company and everything that it does.
Exactly.
You have to, and I'm the same way with Elon. Like, I will be critical of him because I respect him so much and what he's done for me and what he's done, to everything that he's with the golden touch.
Our finances alone, what he's done.
for sure. Hey, man, Elon, like, I have to really keep my bias in check because it personally directs me, but I have to be fair about, like, I don't agree with everything, and that's fine. Two things with Twitter. First one, the algorithm. I tried this experiment on Instagram and it worked flawlessly, and I kind of now done this to Instagram or to Twitter now with the Explore feature when you want to go see what's trending. And it works there too. The algorithm. Everybody who wants to favor the algorithm about it presenting information, it's only going to feed you what you are most engaged with. And so on Twitter, I get, first and foremost, all things tech. It's Apple tech. Yep. I will see things that Marquez is replying to that don't go on my home page, just because when I'm looking at what's trending, then all of a sudden below it's like so and so responded to Marquez on this thing, and I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. I found some cool new accounts that I started following because of the algorithm that was tailored to my style. And if it's not that, then it's music. And lately, because I went down at the beginning of the show, I was talking about deep diving NFTs. Now I'm getting all these NFT things, and then I'm like, oh, this is terrible. This sucks, because I don't want that information. I was doing it for research purposes, but now it's like, hey, new NFT drop. I'm like, I could get no. So now the algorithm is doing something I don't like, but that's by my design. So I bring this up because people who don't like Twitter, leaving Twitter's dying if they say that, or the Twitter is not a good platform. It's only as good or as bad as you allow it to be based off of what you choose to engage with. And I choose to not engage in politics, so I freaking love Twitter. I jump on Twitter, and all I see,
Me too.
I will go to the trending just to see what the latest thing is going on with Ukraine sometimes, but I don't know what's happening with Trump. I don't know what's going on with Biden. I don't care about Will Smith. All these things are so far out of my bubble. But if someone retweets it, then like, okay, that's funny. If someone's making a joke, but it's all what my content with the algorithm outside, because you can't control just what you follow anymore. Twitter does do algorithms. Is all Apple tech, and it's becoming more vintage than anything, which I'm all about, and music, the music that I listen to and that I like. And then lately it's becoming NFTs, which I'm trying to scrub that part of it. But any platform you go to, I'm leaving Twitter. Anywhere you go to is only going to behave how you choose to interact with it. So if it's toxic, it's because you're being toxic. If it sucks, it's because you suck. So fix your mentality and fix your attitude about some stuff, and then maybe the output. I mean, it's a very it's quite poetic, really. It's showing you a mirror of you based off of your interests. So if you don't like the ads that you see, if you don't like the algorithm putting stuff that I don't care about, then it's your own doing for it, because it's no secret that all these apps are tracking you. You go off of Twitter, it's still following you. So anything that you choose to do is all being curated to give you the best customized algorithmic experience. You got to fix that mentality. So I went through it and I did a deep dive and I scrubbed my own stuff so that way I can train these algorithms on Instagram and Twitter to do that, and even YouTube. And now I love these social platforms because it's cleansed of all BS, all politics, all that stuff is gone. With that, Twitter, Elon doing this offer and doing everything with Twitter proved something to me that I was always leaning in, but I never fully was convinced until this past week. I think Elon has shown in his own way, whether he meant to do this or not, that it has to be Twitter. Like, you don't like the platform, go make your own. It won't work. It just doesn't work. Oh, YouTube sucks.
And it's funny to see that argument go both ways now, because it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm leaving if it's not." It's like, you're gonna find something that another social media platform that caters to just your personal preferences and your opinions?
Are you gonna go to Truth Social? Like,
I mean, those don't go well. It's because what happens is you get everybody on the same platform with the same mindset, and then there's very little interaction because everyone kind of thinks the same way. So that's actually what I responded with to Elon on.
You really need that. Why I love
because
YouTube.
He was talking about it on Twitter, and that was my response. I was like, don't bother trying to make your own platform, because that never works. It's been attempted so many times, and I feel firsthand what happens when you try to get everybody to move to a platform that you view as better.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. There's people that just won't move, and there's people that don't want to try something new, download a different app, or you'll get a few loyal
as he wears
fans,
his Discord sweater, but no longer his Twitch.
No, Twitch is gone, and it wasn't by my preference. It was by the audience letting me know, like, no, I don't want to go to Twitch, no matter how many times I tried, didn't work. So and I tried to express that it's not an easy thing to get people to move platforms. It has even if the other platform is better.
So Elon,
I said buying out Twitter would be your best bet.
Yeah. Elon, again, I don't know if he meant to do that, but by him trying to go through all this, it does need to be treated like a public utility in that sense. And so where I'm on board with everything Elon's saying and doing up until the part where he says he wants to be the one to buy it. That's where I was like, and now you lost me. Because it needs to be, he says we need to take, the only way we can fix this is by taking Twitter private. I disagree. That's where I disagree, because it is a public square. It's where we go. It needs to be anything but private. And I'm not saying the leadership of what it's doing right now is working, but it's a heck of a lot better than anything else so far, for a reason. Why Twitter, after 15 years or longer, is still standing when everyone else, Google Plus or Google whatever, gone. Like, you think of all these other, like,
MySpace.
MySpace. Oh my god! All these things that died or are barely hanging on by technicality, like, it's not the same. You know what Twitter is. You know what YouTube is, and I hate to say it, but you know what Facebook is. Like, these things do exist for a reason.
We all don't use it, but we know what it is.
We know exactly what it is. So I like to call Facebook Messenger the iOS of Android, because that's all I use it for, is my friends who don't have iOS.
It's like the closest you can get in the U.S. at least. That's what everybody uses.
Right. I know everybody uses their
WhatsApp overseas.
WhatsApp. Yeah. But
it's all Facebook, whatever.
I mean, funny because it's still Facebook. So I mean, even more to my point, we all know what Facebook is, the company, or Meta. Excuse me, Meta. We know what Meta is.
And I think they do have a lot of control. I don't feel this way with Apple. Maybe because I'm a biased sheep, but I don't feel like Apple has that much control and influence over public platforms. To me, it's more about, like, okay, this is where apps go, this is where games go, like, this is where hardware is sold. where it's a bit different when it's like, okay, one company is in control of like 80 to 90% of the world's texting.
Mm-hmm.
Like all communication is in the hands of Meta.
That is scary.
That is kind of scary to me. So I'm more in favor of saying like, or Google has a lot of control over search, like how people find things on the internet, like regardless of what hardware you buy. Whereas Apple's argument is like they have a lot of control over their app store.
Yep.
It's like, is their app store the most common app store? No. So it's the same way I'm not worried about Netflix having too much control over Netflix. You know, it's not most content. If anything, you should be more concerned about how many companies Disney owns because they're buying up everything. True. So I'd say maybe when there's someone with more than majority market share on a particular platform or field, that's when the discussion is likely worth having. It's not like it has to be broken up. I'm not saying anybody who has more than 50 needs to be broken up, but at least like looking into it. And that's where I see like, okay, this Meta has control over a lot of the world's communication. And
so you have Meta, you have Amazon, and Google. Yeah, those are the three biggest. Like they have the biggest control. Listen,
online.
When AWS goes down, we feel it. We know.
Oh yeah,
because it affects
web services, right?
All of us. We just know.
I'm
not saying that's a problem, but that's the world we're in right now. Having that stuff private, any of it private. That's the part where I'm just like, no. I want it so not private that like this is not a political stance. This is just a philosophy approach to it. I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't think anybody should be deplatformed. I don't believe like I don't think that's productive because we've seen that it doesn't work. Louis C.K. wins an award same time that Will Smith decides to put his hands on a brother. So you know,
right? No, I see that as like cancel culture.
It doesn't.
I get what you're saying, but I think it's probably more hyped up than it really is because there's so many people I've seen canceled and come back in my past.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey is making a comeback.
What? Okay.
I'm not even talking about those like world celebrities. I just mean like on YouTube. I've seen so many
but
channels
if it can happen to these Hollywood, if it can happen to these Hollywood strong types, yeah, YouTube alone. Oh, how many times has Ethan Klein been canceled for something?
Oh yeah, constantly. I mean, it's like perpetually happening, and that
we keep coming back to him shocked, like he does it again, like.
Oh yeah, I mean every community is going to have their own set of examples. But
Keemstar,
like
my goodness.
The mob mentality on Twitter is definitely concerning, and I think what I mostly just want addressed is the freaking bot problem. Like, can Elon go in there and just get rid of all the crypto scams? And
jeez,
there's so many.
He said
fix YouTube while you're at it.
He said if he had a Dogecoin for every crypto bot that he's seen, he wouldn't need any more Dogecoin or something like that. Like 100 million.
He would have every Dogecoin on planet Earth. Yeah, exactly. It's like there's so many things that could be fixed, which is why I guess I'm open to others who are interested trying to make the platform better, even if I don't agree with them on everything. It's just kind of refreshing to see someone say, hey, maybe we should fix some of these things. Because
someone who has actual Twitter, influence, like real power.
Yeah. Because Twitter HQ seems to be fine with so much crap. The verification process is still extremely broken. I don't understand how it works or why Lex Friedman is not verified. Can you believe that?
What?
Did you watch the same podcast I watched?
Wow.
I don't think I watched the podcast, but I saw a tweet of someone saying, like, is it ridiculous that Lex Friedman...
Lex Friedman, that is because he put a podcast as of recording this, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and one part of it has to do with Twitter verification, and it got brought up very early. It's like a 4-hour podcast or 3-hour, but early on he got brought up that he's not verified, and his guest
1.2 million followers.
His guest asked him, like, "Do you ever wonder why?" And he's like, I don't know what to say. And he brought and going on
Sounds
the
like
verification
Lex.
process. Yeah, that's how he did it too. He's like,
He goes,
I don't know.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to understand it.
Yeah. Now I have become death, the destroyer of worlds.
He's great.
He looks like
We love you,
Oppenheimer. He sounds like I'm just dead inside. But Lex is a prime example of someone who has now real influence based off of not just his guests that he has on, but even his own background, being in MIT and just in the physics and stuff like that. Like, this guy is someone that people are. He's known in the big science space. He's known, and he's not verified because he doesn't have posted articles. What? Like. And they talk about that. His guest is verified, and he shouldn't be really that verified, but he is verified because he posted 3 publicly sourced articles that he can link to himself. That's there, and he has those references implied off of a publication that has been validated as like an authenticative. I don't want to say news source, but it's a publication. And so just because he posted 3, he goes, all I had to do was post 3 articles. Didn't matter what they were. And then I submit for verification, link these 3 articles, and that was it for me. That was it.
That's all it takes. It's
and Lex
so
Freeman
weird. It's so backwards. It makes no sense, but yeah. It's
Fix
just one of
bots,
those things where I'm like...
Fix the verification. Listen, Elon has great ideas. I'm vibing to what he's saying. And maybe...
I don't agree with everything politically, but most of what he suggested for Twitter which is the open algorithm... There's a lot of assumptions going on right now. Everyone's kind of convinced that, okay, if he bought Twitter, he would do X, Y, Z. But from what we've heard, it's like trying to make it more open algorithm. He wants free speech to be more protected, but I'm sure that's just going to come down to what free speech is and what shouldn't be tolerated and what should. And that's a whole discussion that we should be having regardless of what Elon does. And he wants to fix the crypto scam issues. An edit button, like I'm like, yeah, let's do all that, please.
That's like that could be rolled over. You could switch out Twitter for YouTube, and it would all make almost the same sense, in the sense that like the bots is a real problem. That's a genuine problem.
And I feel like it should. I don't know why it's so complicated, but it should be fixable. Like, so just flagging an account that is posting the same thing like 100 times in a minute. Just maybe if that happens, let a manual review be done. Like set up a little red flag in the system so that if that is detected, it shows up on a human's computer. Human can look at the account and say, "Yep, that's a bot, ban," and just get rid of it. They could get through so many bots per day just with that system in place. Because I've reported the same accounts countless times, and they still are around and they don't get taken off. And no, it's weird. There's a lot of double standards and things, and I'm all in favor of someone trying to make it better, even if I don't agree with everything they say. So I'm just fascinated to watch. I think it's really interesting news in regards to social media and billionaires and power and platforms. It's just a good, honest conversation that more people should have.
I think it's because it's going to have a ripple. Whatever happens with Twitter, this is going to have a ripple effect for sure. Yeah.
With like Snapchat or
Snapchat, YouTube,
other
not even just the companies. I mean, just like policy, how we're going to go about approaching these things. I think whatever Elon does or doesn't do is going to be. I mean, it's already in. It doesn't matter actually. It's already in motion. This is already causing not just like discussions like this, but like in a good way, we're addressing that. Like, how did we get to this point where someone with enough influence and power, and then most importantly, money, I'm gonna buy you out, and of course it's Elon. Like,
yeah, who better?
Of course. I wouldn't want it any other way. But it's going to reflect like what happens now? I've already kind of alluded that like it shows that these other alternative social media platforms, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But however this addresses Twitter, will ripple to like Meta, to YouTube, to like they'll be like, all right, those guys were able to do it. What's your excuse? You know, like because even though they have different use cases. Like Twitter is breaking news that will always happen on Twitter first. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
There is an overlap of competition between Google, Meta, Twitter, Snap, like all these companies. There is a level of competition in this space, and if Twitter can come out on top of this, however it plays out, it's going to make everyone. It's like competition's healthy. It's going to make everyone kind of step up their game. Maybe they will address the bot issues on.
That would be the best outcome, is if they just like deny Elon's offer, but then to get him off their back, they just start fixing all these things.
That's all he wanted. That's all he wanted.
Actually, we are working on an edit button. It's like, yeah, you seem to step up your work on that one real quick, didn't you?
Didn't see that one in Twitter Blue. Like, oh, you mean your little 20-second before it goes thing?
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's interesting, regardless of where you fall on it. I think it's just kind of fun to talk about. But couldn't be a tech podcast unless we
talk Apple.
We got to address Apple a little bit. But
hardware subscription, what do you think?
Nick, I didn't get to ask you last week, but do you think we're getting hardware at the June event? I know Randy's answer.
Wow, that was a pivot to a completely different topic there. We're in Twitter world, and then now we're going to be talking about...
It's not a Talos of Tech podcast.
Hey, do we even talk about Apple on this show?
I'm just saying.
You know JB on Twitter. There's a question.
Hey, Twitter world. Oh. It's the juice.
Yeah, so as far as... Oh, go ahead. As far as Dub, I think they might announce the M1 Ultra Duo Mac Pro type thing, maybe kind of like an iMac Pro type thing. But I'm not gonna hold my breath to it because we haven't seen hardware at Dub since the pandemic, right? So I kind of don't.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't subscribe to the idea that we're guaranteed any hardware really ever.
Yeah,
been ooped sometimes. But as far as like we should probably start talking about this, huh? Because we're kind of getting into middle April, early May here. What are we expecting, like software wise, from Dub? Like what do they need to fix? I mean, I'm kind of.
What do they need to fix?
Is there a list for you guys, or are you pretty satisfied with current versions of Apple software? Starting with Drew. Go.
I'm pretty happy outside of iPadOS. I think everything else is pretty solid. I'm looking for stability, refinement. You know, if you can allow for more customization, it'd be great, you know, if possible, but just not at the compromise of stability, because iOS 15's been very stable for me, but I've seen a lot of people say it's not been good for them and it's been very buggy. So
really,
I'm thinking, well, maybe.
Oh, it's buttery smooth.
For me, it's been great. Maybe it's because I'm blinded by the promotion, but I don't notice that many bugs.
What else is there, Drew?
But I want a charge limiter on all devices. I think that would be nice.
A charge limiter, okay.
Like cap everything at 80% all the time. Optimize battery charging. Keeps putting my phone to 100% at the start of every day, and I'm like, I don't need that. Just keep it at 80. My Apple Watch too. My Apple Watch could probably cap at 80% every day, and I'd be fine. So just more battery health customization would be good. There's not like big obvious features on iOS and macOS that I'm like, I need it to do this, and there's a big huge list for iPadOS, but not much else. So I have my wish lists, but they're all pretty minor. They're not huge overhauls, but I will just say for the record, Randy's prediction is sounding more likely based on Mark Gurman's latest reports. So hardware
remind
being in June is...
everyone else who's definitely not me what Randy's prediction was.
Yeah, Drew.
I think he said MacBook Air and Mac Pro. Didn't you?
Well, Gurman or me?
You.
I definitely said MacBook. For Dub, no, Mac Pro for sure. MacBook Air, yeah, I think I said MacBook Air.
Yeah, you said something like that, but I'm still convinced it's going to be a big letdown.
I like the hill that, like, everything else I'm up to be like, okay, well, that was a cool twist, or okay, I was wrong, but one that, like, the hill I'm dying on is Mac Pro display and all that. Add Dub for sure. That I just say I have a source. I don't, but I just that's, to me, it's guys, we've been going at this for years now, and our biggest complaint with Apple is that they don't clean up their lineup. And if you're not going to clean up the name, let's at least clean up the release cycle. And I feel like this is the cleanest way to clean up the release cycle, is get everything else pending out at Dub. So come September, we are in M2 season, and we have that cycle for the next 2 years, 1 year. Don't care. We move.
There was a software reference to an unreleased Mac Mini that many people are talking about, so that also speaks volumes to there being a M2 release of some kind in June or something. But you're good with the eyebrow thing, Nick. That's impressive. when the M2 leak drops.
Yeah, I love that M2 Mac Mini, because as we all know, price per dollar, it's the best computer ever.
Did you ever get your studio?
No, I didn't. I ended up canceling that order, and I was gonna order one, but it was like pushed back really far, so I was gonna end up waiting.
Why did you cancel it?
Well, because I had only gotten a terabyte of internal storage, and I was like, after the initial, like, I ordered pretty much base model with 1 terabyte, like instantly, like right as the event was ending, like the website was up, and I ordered that. And then, like, a few days later, I was like, I think between what me and my roommate do, like, we could use this computer as, like, our full-time computer. And so I was like, this isn't a review unit anymore. And so I done and messed up, and I canceled the order, and then I went to order the new one. And I don't know what I was thinking, but they were pushed out, like, 6 weeks or something. For the, I was going to get, like, a probably 2 or 4 terabyte and a little bit more RAM, like the 64 gig RAM. Because that was going to be the main computer, but then I decided to buy a Tesla. So anyway, that's on hold for the moment.
That makes sense.
Complete transparency.
I decided
to buy a Tesla.
Ironically, they sent out the Final Cut updates for the M1 Ultra right as my
I also got a
window
compressor.
ended.
Yeah, my compressor is like, if you have the M1 Ultra, I'm like, yeah, dang it.
It's like right as I had to send it back was when they updated it. So, but luckily, Max Tech did a breakdown. And it seems that the M1 Ultra just can't really be fully unlocked because of this tiny transistor limitation of a few megabytes, I guess, that they weren't quite hitting the overhead of with the M1 Pro and M1 Max. But once it's scaled up to the Ultra, it just doesn't seem to be much faster, unfortunately. Even after the updates and stuff, like comparing export times and graphics performance between the Max and the Ultra is like, it's just not that much better. I mean, it's a little better, but definitely makes me feel better about my MacBook purchase because I'm like, I'm not missing out on much by not getting the Ultra, and I would definitely be upset if I had planned to upgrade to the Studio as my, like, not that the Studio's a bad machine, just the Ultra specifically is just, I don't think is worth the extra money at all. I think the M1 Max chip is plenty fast, and that's what everyone should get, because just having a beefed up Mac Mini with a bunch of extra ports with a Max chip inside it for $2,000, that's a really good deal, and most people should all buy that one. I'm really confused on who should be buying the Ultra specifically, because it's so much more and doesn't seem to be that absurdly better. I guess Marquez, he's got it.
What do you think that means for the Ultra Duo or whatever they're going to call this next chip? Because the scaling isn't linear, and so like, obviously on their very vague graphs, they're going to make it look like it's twice as fast as the Ultra chip, which is 4 times as fast as the Max chip.
Did you see the graph I put in one of my videos?
No.
It was basically where it starts going backwards.
It uses less power.
The new X1 chip is actually producing power. It's so efficient. You have to install an inverter on the other end of your Mac Pro, and it feeds power into the outlet.
And you get energy credits off your electrical bill.
I just found a life hack.
And if data centers start using the new Mac Pro to power all of their cloud computing, then they will have a negative electricity bill. That's the pitch.
It pumps power back. But yeah,
it's the singularity.
It's the singularity. It's been achieved. There were rumors that the Mac Pro has been delayed because of this limitation, and there's some people speculating, I could be wrong, but there's some people speculating that the reason they delayed the OS updates for the M1 Ultra, like for Final Cut and Logic and everything, was because they realized they hit a wall with this scaling of the ARM chip and realized that it wasn't going to perform as great as they thought. And that's why they kind of pushed out the releases, is because they're like, let's not drag too much attention to this.
I don't see 2 weeks or 3 or month now, I guess, of time really changing much of that. Like software, 2 more weeks of software development time, or a month of software development time is going to fix that kind of a substantial issue.
No, it doesn't fix it, but I think it was it was a save face thing. It was like all the reviews are going to be done in the first couple weeks on the big channels, and all of them are just going to say, Geekbench is great, but we're waiting on those updates, and hopefully the future updates are much, much better. But once those updates came along, the truth was kind of realized of like, oh, this... and it's not that the M1 Ultra is a bad chip per se. It's just, I think that the M1 family kept surpassing expectations. It kept like, whoa, wow, look how great it is. Wow, the M1 Pro even better. Wow, the M1 Max even better. So those were just really, really great releases, and the Ultra feels like the first like okay-ish release. It's like, oh, it's all right, I guess.
Which is why I'm happy with my M1 Pro. Yep.
Me too. I probably would have been fine with the M1 Pro, but it honestly wasn't that big a price gap after my Apple Card bug.
Yeah.
So
beautiful.
It was like, you could have saved a couple $100 and gone with the Pro chip. I was like,
well,
okay, but I got the extra GPU overhead if I need it. But yeah, I've heard some say that it's put a legitimate delay on the Mac Pro, which I wouldn't be shocked to find out that they aren't ready to release it in June or talk about it yet.
Oh, no. They will for sure talk about it. For sure. Well, we were talking about what we were talking about last week was them releasing it, like coming out later this year. They'll put that announcement. They might not even put a price tag. They'll do exactly what they did in 2019. They'll do it again now, and that'll be good enough, because hype. These keynotes are nothing more but like free advertisement anyway. So let's build the hype as much as you can.
Oh yeah. They're literally advertisement.
That's all
they're literally hour and a half long commercials.
Yeah, masquaded as a welcome developer conference. None of us are developers, and yet we're there. We're press.
99% of the viewers are not devs, and we're all watching this developer conference.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Nick asked about expectations of software and stuff like that. For me, I do agree with the battery cap. I like the idea of just, I want all cap all things if possible, for sure. It's too late for the iPad Pro. We're not even gonna. There's no point. The 2018 iPad Pro. It's too late. Don't even give me a battery indicator. Keep me ignorant. It's too late.
You don't want to know the battery health on this?
No, I do not. No, not even close. Because it just juices it all the time, and I have this plugged in all the time. So besides the battery indicator or the captain of the charging, I would like to see we're not talking iPad OS because we all know it's a cluster F. But I would like to see interactive, like truly interactive widgets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Definitely.
These updates, the last 2 years or 3 years, I think when the 11 Pro came out, from that day forward, I have not had a complaint with iOS anymore. Everything is...
Ever since they fixed the volume indicator, I've been pretty happy.
That too?
I wasn't crazy about widgets. I never really had much use for them, and then Apple added them, and I still don't really have much use for them. It's like...
calendar, me and my wife, and I have an interactive like
nice.
weather battery stocks. Yep. So...
I just have one. It's just stocks and battery. That's all it is. And I just use that one.
I don't like how apps, until they actually redesign iOS in a way that like how you navigate through it, the UI itself, I don't like having a sentimental photo behind a bunch of apps. So I got one of those widget smith ones, and so that way I can have like me and my wife up front, and I could just see it, you know, little joys and stuff like that. On the iPad, it does. Drew, I don't know. You make my iPad Pro happy, I'm suspecting, because the last 3 days I open up my iPad and I have the photos widget there, and it'll just curate some type of memory, and each one is you and me and Nick. Me and Nick went to a restaurant or a fast food joint, and you're just sitting at a booth, and I took a photo of you for something, and you're just like like that to me. And it keeps coming up.
That's most of your camera roll is pictures of me.
Yeah.
I
take screenshots of all of your videos, Drew, multiple times. Like, I have over 75,000 pictures in my iCloud photo library, and most of them are just screenshots of you.
Wow. I thought so. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes
Believable.
It's iCloud storage well spent.
I don't have a real, like, critique on anything what I want to see from the
home
software
bar
anymore.
Should go away.
Home bar.
Ooh,
oh,
actually,
home bar.
okay. I would
the
totally agree with that, but there needs to be a toggle, because I know that some old people still want to.
Sure.
So bury it in
toggle.
accessibility settings. Toggle to turn off the home bar. I'd be all over that.
Yeah. I don't need it to be there. It's pointless. Waste of time. Waste of pixels.
Make Siri shortcuts more intuitive, I think, is another one. Everything
allow third parties to better integrate into Siri shortcuts, or perhaps maybe it's just on third parties not integrating into Siri shortcuts. But there's been a few times where Siri shortcuts, either on the Mac or even on my phone, I've been like, I wish that I could do this with this one third-party app, but either the app hasn't supported it, or Apple hasn't come up with a way to allow them to easily plug into it. So I'd appreciate more of that, because I do use shortcuts like all the time.
I said that with you in mind, Nick, because I thought about you, because I know how much you use it. There's this weird
I've changed
bug.
my home screen quite a bit, but yeah, I have let's see, eight of
like how
eight.
he has the Tesla widget. But
I know, but there's Tesla, but I check it so frequently to see if my date has slipped, like multiple times.
I do check mine frequently too,
and so I just I'll leave the widget.
You
up
guys
here
remind me of me.
It's a promise.
You inspired us, Randy.
Good. Well, I only had to wait a week.
Lucky.
I want an AirPods app.
Ooh.
That would be so cool.
It would be so much easier to update the software if it was just like the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Where you could just go into AirPods and be like, latest update,
Listen,
install.
If Find My can be its own weird standalone thing, just so you look at your individual items, and you have an app for Apple Watch, and I consider Apple Watch an accessory, even though it has its own OS. It's not really its own OS. I want AirPods to have its own dedicated section. That would be so cool.
I think they're baking too much into the settings app with Bluetooth settings, and it's too complicated of a product between, equalizer settings, noise cancellation, firmware updates, optimized battery charging would be very useful. If you were like, keep the AirPod, because the battery health on these things suck. I want to be able to say, keep it at 80% unless told otherwise. Like right before the podcast, I'll say, okay, charge it to 100. And then the rest of the week, just keep it at 80. It tries to do this auto detect thing, and it's always weird and doesn't guess it right, and it deteriorates the battery health. So if they had settings in there like the feedback, what 2 clicks does, what 3 clicks does, and you could customize that and route it to certain shortcuts or whatever, There could be so much more if they just like there's a watch app, there could be an AirPods
spot
app.
on. They do too much in the Bluetooth settings. That's where I was like, this is complicated and annoying.
You got to go settings, Bluetooth, find the AirPods,
hit the little eye, and then you got to
just a little app would be so much easier. I agree.
Make it all clean. Put the same cute little animations that you have like on Find My. Throw them in on the AirPods app or whatever. Just called AirPods. The app is just called AirPods. Like you have Apple Watch, you have AirPods. It doesn't distinguish.
You can check battery health.
You compare all your like I got AirPods 2 or I got AirPods 1, AirPods Pro, AirPods Max. Just the same way you can have multiple Apple Watches.
Them.
All right there.
You could have multiple in there.
Yeah.
There's too many reasons. I wasn't the first one to think of that. Someone, it may have been 9to5Mac or someone said there should be a dedicated app. And the more I thought about it, I was like, this makes too much sense. I need this. You could order
replacements.
on and off
the lossless setting on your AirPods Max in that app. It'd be super great.
What
that would be great. They just need to add lossless. But yeah, Dolby Atmos settings, spatial audio settings, and you could even order like a replacement pair, or ping the AirPods from the app, or get a new rubber tip or something, or do that thing where you design the software so that it feels like you should have more than one pair. So right from the app, you can tap and order a new pair and engrave it and everything, and the AirPods ecosystem.
It's so intricate now, but just because of how they built it out, because you can even use that section too. Like here's the exclusivity factor. Remember when Drew used to say exclusivity a lot? That was good times. Here's that factor for it. You can even manage your other wireless earbuds like Beats Buds or Studio Buds or whatever. Like they can all be managed in there if you have iPhone. But then if everything's on Android or what have, then it's whatever. But you can manage other stuff that's made by Apple, but it's not necessarily AirPods, but it's still in there. So that way you can give that customization of it. I mean, shoot. Besides the whole like Find My to ping it, you could there's more than one way to open the camera app on your phone. There should be more than one way to ping it if you want to. So if you're while you're in there, it's like, where is my AirPods Max? Boop 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 boop. Where's my AirPods Pro? Boop,
right.
Boop. All that stuff can.
Where's my left AirPod?
Yeah.
End of it. The more I think about it,
the other.
The more I think about it. Yeah. Yep. iOS 16. That's what I want.
That might be my top request for iOS 16, possibly.
Yeah. What about you, Nick?
Okay. Oh, man, I really, really want a new Tips app. The Tips app just has not been updated enough for me. I need some.
You want a side load, right?
No, I don't want to side load anything.
Side loading?
I want tips, more tips, like that yellow Tips app with. I need more of that. I need more notifications. Hey, discover more features of your iPhone 13 Pro Max. No.
I heard a Gurman report that I thought was interesting of expanding on the low power mode for the Apple Watch, which I thought was cool. I was like, if power reserve could do more than just the time, but like turn off the accelerometer, turn off the heart rate monitor, turn off blood oxygen levels, turn off raise to wake, it just make it like you can check the time when you press the button on the side, but you can still text and send texts, but it'll be like low power mode with no animations, really low refresh rate, like keep it capped at like 1 hertz, and it's just kind of static. It's like text appears, you keep as much of the display off as possible, so really thin text and not colorful, and it's all monotone. Like, how much battery life could you squeeze out of an Apple Watch just with software optimization? I think would be interesting, because that's
3 days.
It's the number one complaint with Apple Watch people have, is like the battery's not good enough. And if you could enter a mode that says, last longer, I bet people would love it.
So the theme here is all things battery, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Yeah.
Especially because we're all planning on holding on to our hardware much, much longer. So we're all like, how do we make this thing last?
That's true. I have had this thought just yesterday. I was looking at this. I was looking at the phone, and I talked to you about it, Drew, like for a little bit. But it it does everything that I needed to and then some. And you know how, so we tried the challenge of doing more with less with the minis, all three of us, and that was a cool thought exercise of the mind to just push the boundaries.
Right.
I want to, and I kind of reprogrammed my thought process after that experiment. It made me look at things a certain way with how I spend money, how I handle the product, how I just respect what I already have. And I kind of want to take that a step further with iPhone specifically, because why do I need it to have more? And if I can find peace with the OS now for where we're at, and I'm okay with it, where I'm like, oh, just fix the battery, interactive widgets. What I'm throwing little darts at this point. It's not like this needs to be fixed anymore. I stopped with that thought process. If I could be okay with the software,
they did it, Apple. You made a phone. It's perfect.
Yeah. If I can find peace with the software, I gotta train my brain to find peace with the hardware. I found it with the iPad, because now we're 4 years strong with this baby. I found it with every Mac I've ever owned, and I'm happy with this MacBook Pro now for a very long time. And I do it with the watches all the time too. So why is the iPhone? Why does it have this spell over me? And I don't have a genuine answer for that. I've broken every habit but the iPhone.
It's the camera. The camera's.
It is. It has to be. But now, okay. But the green, I love the green, and I got the camera.
It's the green.
And look, and the software is more than good enough. So I have to force. That's my experiment this year. Be okay with the hardware. I want to find the same level of confidence and have a healthy relationship with the products the way like my wife does. Like why does everyone else have normal people who don't have the same brain as me? Like, it's just a phone. I'm like, I want to say that.
Yeah. I want that too. Did you sell your old 13s? What happened with that?
They're all right here off frame, off camera right here. Not just that, but I have right here at the ready MacBook Air ready to sell.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I didn't. I am in the process of gathering all things together. I'm trying to do a mass sell. I'm in the process of selling everything. I just want but the one phone. So that means 12 mini is gonna go away, 13 Pro, and
that's awesome. I'm glad you're keeping the Alpine green.
I love that. I love it. Oh, and the 13
so
Pro.
perfect.
Yeah, the
I don't think
blue.
they could make a green better at this point. For you, there's no room for improvement anymore. Like, this is peak Randy phone. Like, I can't see
it's boxy
this.
The way I wanted it, because iPhone 5 was my favorite design.
Just like you.
I got the best camera with this. I got this cinema, and I used it. Fun fact, Nick and listeners, the only person who knows this is Drew. My last thumbnail was filmed in cinematic mode, where I bokeh'd my face and I focused on my hand as I was trying to reach for something, and that was the thumbnail. And I was so in awe with the fact, like, I did this on my phone, and the fact that I did it all on my phone, like, I had to talk to somebody, like Drew came up, like, dude, this is so cool, because I'm trying to.
And at the same time, I told him the thumbnail I had just made that day was also shot on iPhone. It was the macro shot of the.
I love
Apple
it.
Watch.
It's
like, this camera's awesome.
Best camera, best color, best shape design for what it is, best battery bank for me for the phone. It's all balanced. Everything about it's not in frame, but
my battery health could be at 60% and it would still get me through the day.
I end the day at 30% by me forcing it through, and I'm like, I'm so tired, I don't have time. I'm
usually
happy.
ending at 65.
If I was being more disciplined with my sleep cycle, I'd be closer to 50.
Yeah. No, it's a solid phone. I feel more and more confident of how happy I am to be not upgrading this year. Like, the more I hear about the 14, I'm like, ugh, they're gonna make it thicker. It's like, ooh, The camera bump's even bigger now. Oh, and that
thicker
eye hole
and bigger
thing
bump.
Yeah, both. Both the chassis gets thicker and the bump gets bigger in every dimension. Wider, taller, deeper. Like, the more I hear about it, I'm like,
Ooh.
Ooh. I could.
You still want one, Nick?
I could make that bump as deep as it wants to go. I mean, it'll never bottom out in me.
It's gonna be like this whole lens coming out the back.
I don't have my.
Here we go. He has a visual. iPhone 15 leaks. Here you go.
And wait until you see our
I'm
telescope.
reading the news right here. It says Apple will reportedly use LG Innotek and Jawa for the iPhone 15's periscope lens.
Wait, hold it up, Nick. So here's the new iPhone 15 camera bump, and wait until you see it when it goes into telescope mode.
Perfect.
We can
Their
zoom in.
Cameras also come with phones.
Whoa. Oh my God, I saw your eye for a second. Wait, there it is.
Oh, man.
Ew.
Beautiful.
I see your retinas.
Oh, my God.
Yep, iPhone 15
Audio
leaks.
listeners
thoughts,
are very
gents?
confused right now.
Yeah, audio listeners, you're missing out.
Oh man. Closing thoughts. No, I look forward to seeing a pretty whelming, not overwhelming or underwhelming. I look forward to seeing a whelming dub when we come to that season, because
it's great because they always have a bunch of surprises.
They still do little things, and it's cool.
Yeah. With software, it's always like, oh, I guess I wanted that.
I told you, fine gentlemen, I think at the end of last year, I said I wanted to go into 2022, just no more expectations, and let me just be genuinely like, hey, look at that for the keynotes. And my mentality's there. I'm not holding my breath for anything cool or exciting. I'm ready to go into it. I found peace with the ecosystem that we have finally finalized and matured, including what an iPad is supposed to be.
Cool. Sounds good. And Nick, do you have anything to wrap up on, or
Randy?
You good?
I love looking deeply into your eyes.
Thank you.
We got to talk off the air now. Well,
I look very deeply into your eyes.
Thanks,
Randy.
everyone.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye.
week. Bye-bye. Air power's dead.